Ah, there you are. Where have you been? I've been busy cleaning up after storm. There've been so many storms. Oh, Eunice. Week off for the Six Nations players, feet up, but as you can see, I've been busy on the farm. Now coming up, I'll be ranking my top 3 Six Nations sides and much more on Whistle Watch as well. Ken, you should know the laws. That had been a buffalo. They are looking good for the World Cup. I love a steak, but on my own cow steak. But first, it's time for some Emirates fans questions. Yes, your Emirates fans questions. Now keep them coming in. I love getting your questions and I'll try to answer as many as you can. But before then, we've got a couple of video submissions.
Hi Nigel, hope you're well. Just a question from me. What's your go-to beer?
Ooh, a good pint of Valium Vol Dark. Can't beat it.
What do you normally do after a match?
I usually, if I can, come back home to my local rugby club, Pontyberem, and then go over the club for a pint and enjoy with the boys. That's what I usually do. But depends if I'm out refereeing abroad somewhere and it's going to be a bit tight getting home before stop tap. And let's get some of the ones that have been coming in from you guys this week. When a ball is charged down, why is it not given as a knock on? Good question, Stu. Well, the law says that if you try to charge it down because you're blocking the kick, that is what your intention is. You're not trying to catch the ball, because if you try to catch the ball and you lose it forward, then it becomes a knock on. But because you're trying to charge it down, which means you're not trying to catch it, so which means the law then allows you then to play on. Now, if a player goes up and tries to catch the ball and then goes forward, then that will be deemed as a knock on. But a charge down, you're trying to charge it down, not trying to catch it, then it's play on. Who was your refereeing hero when you were a kid? My guess, Clive Norling. That's a very good guess. There were two actually. It was Clive Norling and Derek Bevan. So very good guess. Yeah, Clive Norling was a wonderful referee. Nigel, what's your favourite food? Oh, now then. I better say this very quietly. It's a steak. I love a steak, but on my own cow steak. I love a steak. What's been Nigel's favourite match to referee? Oof, and that's a tough question. South Africa against New Zealand in Ellis Park in 2013. If you haven't seen it, have a look at it and let me know what you think, if it is now one of your favourite games, because it was probably one of the greatest matches of all time. Now, no Six Nations this weekend to talk about, but some things haven't escaped my attention. Now, a good example of a player not quite knowing the laws, but asking the referee where he can stand when he's defending. Owen Lloyd from Bristol had to go in to play number 9 against Worcester Warriors on Friday night. And he's asked Wayne Barnes, where can I stay as a non-putting scrum half in the scrum? Good communication, Johan. There's 3 places you can stay. You can stay with the scrum half who puts the ball in and follow the ball around, but you must always stay behind the ball. That is your offside line. Or you can go back behind the number 8's feet and you can defend anywhere along the field as long as you're behind your own number 8's feet. Or you can go back and stand with your backs, which should be 5 metres back on the scrum. Now, if you do that, you have to stay back there until the scrum is over. So there you go. Great try scored in Super Rugby on the weekend between the Chief and the Highlanders, with a big number 8 from the Chief scoring it. But is it a great try? Is it allowed to jump over or avoid a tackle? Very, very interesting one. It's caused a lot of debate. When a player is in the air with a ball, you are not allowed to tackle him unless he's in the act of diving to score a try, which means you can then prevent the try being scored. So the directive is a player must not jump into a tackle because it's dangerous, and he must not jump up to avoid being tackled. So I think the Chiefs number 8 is very, very lucky that this try was awarded. Right then, a little bit of controversy in social media with a coach not very happy about officiating on the weekend in Newcastle Exeter. Let's have a look at the red card. Now, as far as I'm concerned, this is a clear red card. Players actually need to learn now that you can't go in high, and you certainly can't go in with your arm down by your side and a shoulder making contact with the head. Even if there is a slight dip by the defender, it is not enough to have mitigation, and the actions of the tackler here are always illegal because he's leading with the shoulder with no attempt to wrap on the contact. So for me, this is a red card. So Callum Chick and other tacklers out there, please get your tackles lower. It saves you getting sent off, and more importantly, it helps with player safety in the game as well. Scarlett's Connaught on the weekend. Plenty of action on the field, but a little bit of action off it as well. Ken Owens having a bit of light refreshment, enjoying watching the game. And as he puts the pint to his mouth, he then puts it down. Now then, if that had gone into his mouth, Ken, you should know the laws. That would have been a buffalo. Now, looking forward to the next round of the Six Nations. It's been very interesting so far, and I've got all my predictions right, which doesn't happen very often. And my top side at the moment, and will be, I think, for the rest of the tournament, are France. They just are very, very disciplined. Really, really good. Penalty count is really low. They play some wonderful rugby, and they have got some of the best players in the world at the moment, particularly in Dupont at 9, who is by far the best player in the world. And because they got a mix of skill and discipline and defence, it's going to be very, very difficult to beat them. And they're the only side who can win the Grand Slam. Will they win the Grand Slam? I'm not sure. Now, what you don't want is a side peaking too early. Ireland, for example, who have peaked so many times in between World Cups. France, I don't think they've peaked yet. They still have a little bit of inexperience there with some youthful players. It'll be interesting to see how they can close the game out when the score is close, the weather's bad, and you need the game to be controlled. That's the only question mark I have behind France at the moment. So they are shaping up, and with more experience, with another just over a year to go, they are looking good for the World Cup. And who's next, I hear you ask? Well, Ireland are at number 2. That may change when they go to Twickenham, and if England beat them in Twickenham, then England may move up to second. But at the moment, Ireland are playing very, very good rugby. And just remember, they played well out in Paris and only lost narrowly in the end to a very, very good side. And what everybody asks is, are they over-reliant on Johnny Sexton? There is no doubt he has a huge influence on that Irish team. But as we saw out in Paris, they played very, very well without him. And he's not going to be around forever, so they're going to need another number 10 coming through. And they have got some talented number 10s in Ireland. Are they quite able to control the game like Johnny Sexton? We'll have to wait and see. But Ireland are very fortunate. They have very, very talented and experienced players. And then if Sexton is not playing, they don't seem to miss him too much at the moment. But time will tell. A little bit disappointing for England at the moment. Of all the talent they got, and some really talented players playing very, very well. But they don't seem to have got it right at the international level so far. They lost up in Scotland. Turning moment in the game, of course, with the penalty try, but until then, they looked in control. They never looked like losing that game, but they did. A lot of talk around Marcus Smith at the moment, and quite rightly so as well. I remember refereeing him a few times for Harlequins and for England against the Barbarians a few years ago as well. He's a very, very talented player. And playing behind the English pack that quite often dominate games, he's going to have a bit of an armchair ride on occasions and show his skill as well. The key will be how he performs under pressure when the forwards are not giving him quick ball. That'll be the key to find out more about him. But at the moment, he certainly does look the real deal. And obviously with Owen Farrell to come back into the mix as well, to help him with experience, that could be a key ingredient to England going into the World Cup in 2023. Now then, time for the predictions. Let's see if I can keep my winning streak going. Let's start with Scotland-France in Murrayfield. Ooh. They slipped up there 2 years ago. Will they slip up again? I don't think they will. I just think France at the moment are good enough to win in Murrayfield. And Scotland, they will be disappointing with their performance in Cardiff, so they will up their game. It's going to be tight, but I think France just. Now then, the big one for us Welsh, England, Wales in Twickenham. Oh, England are always difficult to beat, particularly in Twickenham. Can we go up there and win? Well, we can. Will we? I think, again, the home advantage is just a little bit too much for us. So I think England. Ireland, Italy, in Dublin, I just can't see Italy upsetting the odds out there. Now, they have improved, I think. They played well in patches against France. They played well in patches against England as well. They need to keep that going now for the 80 minutes if they want to beat Ireland in Dublin. I don't think they'll do it. Ireland are too good. Ireland will win comfortably, I think, in the end. Well, that's it for this week, but I'll be back next week. Ooh, big one coming up. England, Wales in Twickenham. I'm getting excited already. Now, don't forget to join us next week. Like and subscribe, and there'll be plenty to discuss, I'm sure. See you then.